Fertilizer is the biggest bill on our farm, so how do we protect that? Stress is the thing that takes away from our yield potential and our yields during the season. It's not about cutting anything, it's about maximizing those inputs.
The interesting angle here, Darren, is that you're a producer. You're making the same decisions that a lot of these folks are faced with in a kind of a turbulent time right now. You've got to optimize all the little things on your farm, and you're working with Darren or Dave and Todd as far as the management goes. Tell us what you're seeing on your farm and what you're trying to optimize and how that all flows into the conversation we're going to have today about going from good to great.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, like on our farm, it's like everyone else's. It's about maximizing and trying to get all these little incremental gains to make a bigger number at the end of the day. So for us, we concentrate on a few different things. The first 30 days of the crop dictates your maximum yield potential, so we want to make sure that we get off to the best possible start. Of course, we do use a soil health program, and that greatly helps that. And we want to maximize inputs, so fertilizers, fungicides, pesticides, herbicides, water use efficiency, nutrient use efficiency. The fertilizer is the biggest bill on our farm, so how do we protect that and reduce soil tie-up and loss and get the maximum amount of that to our crops and grow the most grain we can with the least amount of money in that department? And how do we minimize stress? Stress is the thing that takes away from our yield potential and our yields during the season. And how do we reduce those things that contribute to yield loss? And then on the marketing side and different things, timing, buying fertilizer right, buying fuel right, selling grain right. On the insurance side, what helps you there? Well, trying to have the highest average yield possible heading into years when we collect insurance. Usually a 1-year thing isn't too bad, but we just went through recently 3 years of drought in a row. Maintaining that higher yield average going into that and during that helps us make more guaranteed money per acre. The one other thing I would like to mention is, the soil health program. I think that's a bit of a murky water yet for a lot of people. It's not about cutting anything. It's about maximizing those inputs and maximizing the advice. So on our farm, we used to grow a rotational crop that made not a lot of money. And, we talk to Todd all the time, and he's telling us what crops pencil out best on our farm. And those are the crops we grow. So we're allowed to push that agronomy and that rotation a little bit and not worry about the disease and pests with that soil health program in the background. And we're actually just growing every acre is maximizing the crops it should. So on our particular farm, a 2-crop rotation now instead of a 3, and the penciling out at the end of the year is just so much better.
Well, and Dave, you used to be in this space a little bit with soil health. You're a bit of a believer in that as well, hey?
Yeah, when we were consulting the 2016, that was the extreme wet year when there was a lot of fusarium in durum and Phenomyces started showing up in canola. And so that's, farmers tried all the chemistries and everybody was just so frustrated. So that's when I started looking into the path of, I had a buddy that was into the soil health market and he introduced me to it, and I just kept going down, trying to learn more. And a lot of times you can find the problems that are happening above ground were really starting below ground. And so we started just to look at ways to improve that to see if we could, prevent, or limit some of the damage that we were seeing. So yeah, long story short, I've seen some really good results to help improve the yields and the quality and the soil with soil health products.
Love it. Well, I've got a little bit of a poll here for you folks. When is the last time you went digging in the dirt with a shovel to check your soil health? Was it planning to this spring? It's on the list. You're going to get to it. Last year you dug up a storm. It's been a few years, or does kicking at it with my boot count? I don't know, Darren, can you tell much with just kicking your boot at it?
Well, a lot of the land, especially if you're a little dry, it's pretty darn hard. So sometimes you can tell just walking across it if something's working for you or not working.
You know what the cheat code is, Dan? Want to know if you have good soil health right away?
Tell me.
You'll see something in the shovel.
Yeah.
Darren, you know what it is?
Yeah, it's the soil.
Well, no, I was going to say earthworms. When you see a ton of earthworms, you have very good soil health.
Priceless tip here this morning.
There you go. Free one.
Yeah, that one's for free. We're going to get into it right away, but let's just share these results. This is good. You must be doing your job, Darren, because 42% dug up a storm last year. So that's pretty cool. But we're going to segue into the $70 difference here and what makes the difference. But one thing you said before we got going here, Darren, I thought was really interesting. And Dave's going to love this. Well, you said that you got a text from Dave before fuel went up. It was very timely, and that must be worth its weight in gold. I don't know, Dave, what you're clocking in at now, but you must be worth your weight in gold if you told him to buy fertilizer or fuel.
The thing is, like from our marketing side of things, is you have to have a realistic risk of what's going to happen. And when you look, as soon as those warships started heading over, they're going to take 3-4 weeks to get there, but they weren't heading over there, to fool around. And we already knew the damage that could be caused if they plugged up that strait. And it was so obvious that it was coming. And, we said at the time, maybe the fuel was about $1.02, depending on, the size of, loads you were getting. The downside risk, if no war happens, was 93 cents, but the upside was $1.50. And just get it taken care of. And same with fertilizer. But yeah, it's just a risk reward conversation, right? And it seemed obvious to get that out there.